From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. In today's recording, we go over that consumer price index number released minutes ago. It's huge because it's about your SSI and SSDI SS300. What did that number say? The latest breaking details just minutes ago. Overnight, the White House pivots on its energy policy, and this could tee up major relief. If it's not, then get ready for sixth stimulus, because sixth stimulus is going to the finish line, and we can go over what new comments from Deutsche Bank are lined up for sixth stimulus. The Build Back Better Act heating up whether we have a recession or not, but guess what? Four stimulus checks start to pay out. $80,000 of checks for that homeowner's grant now paying out. I'll show you how to get them in today's recording. Then we'll be going back into the big exciting details of the continuing resolution. Major developing details on that overnight as the House passes a piece of legislation. All the latest details on what you need to know about that big sums of money. There's a lot going on in this morning's broadcast with the $80,000 of four stimulus checks that homeowners grant now live. The CR for stimulus passing in the House overnight. The Federal Reserve looking to see what the Economic Central Bank of Europe did just minutes ago. Did they tighten faster to deal with inflation? What does it mean for your SS300? Breaking news on this front. And then Deutsche Bank with a major statement about the Russian value of its bonds and debt, and also equities. Could this signal a major setup for the sixth stimulus package for you as well? We have all the incredible breaking details. It's mornings, and it's all happening in just the last few minutes. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing, and we have the latest details about the wheat prices as well. This is a big morning with a lot of checks going live. It's the deliciousness that you're only going to see live from the shores of Santa Monica, California. And the excitement starts right here, right now, as Mornings LALATE, with its coffee in hand, gets underway. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. And look at this wonderful map. $80,000 of four stimulus checks have gone live. Are you ready to get them? I'll have the latest details on that. Plus the recessionary issue at hand with the surging gas prices. What you need to know and what the White House is doing with the situation in today's recording. Then we'll be looking at the sixth stimulus situation as well. A major deal unhatched overnight, and this could be very fascinating. We got a lot of money in today's recording, plus we have the latest updates on the CR overnight. Did Joe Biden get what he wanted, or did he not? I didn't get my bacon, so, maybe we're lined up in twosomes. But here we go. We're going to start first with the breaking, developing details of the Build Back Better Act. That will be featured more extensively with those $80,000 of checks in prime time tonight. In prime time tonight, evening's LA show, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, we'll go over those new $80,000 of checks that went live and how you can get them as well. But first, let's start with the Build Back Better Act. The incredible $15,000 of checks over 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. In that first cluster, hazard pay, going to the finish line for my earned income tax credit essential workers. $4,000 of elder care, the money for the children, the homeowners assistance for repairs, low-income community, and then the Pell Grant, $12,500 as well for the purchase of a new electric vehicle. That is the first of 3 clusters of checks and 3 add-ons in the Build Back Better Act, the fourth stimulus recon. In a new interview, the President of the United States says that he's going to get it done, and it's absolutely going to happen. The first add-on comes from the shores here of Southern California, $25,000 for the purchase of a new first home via Maxine Waters. Got it in there. How do you get these incredible checks? Stay tuned to tonight's 1-hour special broadcast in prime time. It's evenings LA, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. In that second cluster, we have home repairs and paid leave. Paid leave, a lot of money if you have to stay home due to sickness or illness, and home repairs to weatherize your home. The second add-on of checks comes from Bob Casey. $250 billion, just a little bit less, for the home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Again, currently we're looking at the second of two add-ons to the incredible Build Back Better Act. But all these checks will be detailed extensively in tonight's 1 hour special broadcast. In that third cluster, we have the free internet for all checks, farmers checks, and the seniors checks. Seniors get a lot of checks in this. On the House side, they got in there the Medicaid gap fix and the hearing checks. On the Senate side, the dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, which is par for the course when we're talking about adding checks to the Build Back Better Act, the forced stimulus recon. The third add-on of checks, of course, would be those MSCs. MSCs is a body of legislation that would add you additional checks in your hand on top of the existing $15,000 to $80,000 of checks in Build Back. Who gets it? The leadership of the Senate tell viewership of this channel that the eligibility would be the same as a third. Single individual, $75,000 less, get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, get it, double it. Family four, quadruple it. If you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, you get as well. It's not income, it's not taxable. Going out nationwide. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. Adult dependents would also get it. It's not income, and there you go. This is a body of checks that go on top of the existing checks of the Build Back Better Act for stimulus recon. Now, for purpose of clarity, because there's a lot of checks in today's recording, I'm now referring to these checks and this map as a fourth stimulus ancillary piece of legislation. Don't have to wait for Build Back Better Act, because these four stimulus checks have gone live. $15,000 to $80,000 of checks. They are the homeowner grant checks. They're coming up later in this video, and they're paying out right now eligibility, much like a third stimulus. Stay with me. It's coming up later in a second. I'm going to go over that incredible map. Plus, we're going to be looking at what happened in just the last few minutes with Deutsche Bank internationally and why there's a big move to pivot to get a sixth stimulus package done. Now, let's understand, when we talk about first, second, or any numbering system, does not mean that one has to be done before you go to the next. Six stimulus would happen at the same time as four stimulus. And guess what? Major breaking developments on it today that signals it's happening. It's huge. It's coming up in just a second. But first, let's turn to the other major breaking developing detail, which is the continuing resolution. Overnight, the continuing resolution was passed on the House side, now sent to the Senate, and teed up with a Tuesday potential deadline. But let me tell you what happened and what didn't happen. Very fluid situation across the board. A continuing resolution was passed last night in the House, has now been sent to the Senate. But not just one, two. Two? What do you mean two? Yeah, two. But wait a second, didn't we have one of these before passing the House? We did. Sound look confusing? It's very confusing. Nancy Pelosi keeps on passing versions of the continuing resolution sent to the Senate. So if you've been on this channel for the last 2 weeks and say, I thought we had one passed in the House. Yeah, you do. So now you have three versions of the CR sent to the Senate. Why? They are just really trying to protect this March date at the moment, which is good. The mentality of the House overnight in passing it was one. They want to stay on point for getting this done by Tuesday. That's number one. They don't want to move it to April with a stopgap. Number two, the breaking developing detail is that Nancy went against the president. Yes, this is a big surprise. The president of the United States had been asking for some money in this CR for COVID. Nancy said, I'm not doing that. You can't ask for everything. Grow up. She basically said that quote. I can't believe she said it. Now, it's also really a shocker, and you're here for the first time live on air. And unfortunately, I don't have the ability to cover this detail. The CR that passed last night has stimulus in it for some jurisdictions across the country locally. What? Yes. Let's go over the details. A continuing resolution was passed last night with $1.5 trillion discretionary funding in the House sent to the Senate. But, to everyone's surprise, including mine, there is a lot of projects that were put in there funded for local stimulus in certain districts, counties, regions of states across the nation. Obviously, I can't cover everyone's county and everyone's state, but Georgia is detailed in a major report today. Projects in Georgia that got in there include $30,000 for one organization, $12 million for a military revamp in an area of Georgia, and then another $4 million for 4 projects of stimulus locally for one district in Georgia. A lot of different money. They're very different. They're very, very fluid. In the one article, it was nearly 20 projects in one district. Very, very fluid across the board. So this is fascinating. When you look at continuing resolution, you just think of it as funding the federal government. You often don't think of it as funding the county you live in. But the House members represent often counties, districts, and they negotiated and they got some funding in there. Now, let's go back. Why are we having 3 CRs? Yeah, so this is where it gets a little confusing. Let me explain to you. We have one CR that was sent to the Senate, 3 weeks ago. We have the one from last night, and then we have another one to sort of roll this over to Tuesday. So understand, this is all housework. What a great expression. Housework. Yeah, work done in the house. The senators can still modify this up. The good news is that Joe Biden didn't get his money in there. This is big because remember, if you've been on this channel since last 2 weeks ago, the president was trying to take some of the money for COVID, and even 1 penny for COVID would give you no deal in March and roll this over. Why? The president asked for a little bit of money for COVID 2 weeks ago, and House and Senate Democrats said, and Republicans said, no, we're not giving you any money for COVID. Then, during the State of the Union address, he said, I'm going to come back for some money for COVID. And I was the only reporter in the nation said, I think he's going to try to get from the CR, the continuing resolution. 2 days later, on the Friday after the State of the Union address, last Friday, he sent a letter over from the Congressional Budget Office saying, I want some of that money for COVID to the senators. They said no. Last night, Nancy said, no, Mr. President, I'm not giving you any money for COVID. Thank goodness. So Nancy is protecting the CR, continuing resolution, getting done by potentially Tuesday. $2,000 stimulus checks could be put in there because there's enough room in that $1.5 trillion discretionary funds. So advocate for its inclusion. And this is including that, this is in addition to those $80,000 of checks that are now going live and are starting to pay out, and they're coming up later in this video, the homeowners grant. Now, the other breaking developing detail is the SS300. This is a very fluid situation. Let me tell you what happened just minutes ago. You know that your benefits could go up by swapping out COLA for inflation. Okay, you understand that. Then you understand that Jay Powell, your head of the Federal Reserve, his job is to bring down inflation. And you know he's going to try to bring it down progressively throughout the year. You know that, and you know he's in charge of monetary policy in the United States. And you know that you want Joe Biden to swap out COLA for inflation now when it's high. So we got actually 2 major breaking developing details on this in the last few minutes. Number 1, as I told you over the last 5 days, this was the broadcast you're going to want to watch. Here's the breaking news. The Consumer Price Index number, CPI, for the month of January, to show you where inflation came in the month of January 2022, is out, and I have it for you. And it's good news. I predicted that the Consumer Price Index number for the month of January 2022 would come in at 8%. Was I right? It came in at 7.9%. Almost right on the money here. This is big because why is this good news for you? Because if Joe Biden made that swap from COLA inflation today, you'd lock in that higher percentage point. If he swaps it out a month from now, you'd lock in that higher percentage point. The Consumer Price Index number for February rose to 7.9% year to date. This is the January number because it's 1 month delayed. And this is this is a little bit higher than estimates. Some estimates put it at 7.5. December was tracking in the 7.5% range. This is the highest number since August of 1982. This is great because let's go over the details. Swap your benefit benchmark from COLA to inflation. You lock in the rate right now. If the rate goes down later, don't worry. Swapping out from COLA to inflation right now will give you that 8%. And that would be lifetime. Most viewers would raise their benefits up $200 right now. Jay Powell, his job is to get down inflation later throughout the year. And the first move by Jay Powell is just in a few days from now. How does he do it? 5 meetings, 5 months, called FOMC meeting. The first one is just a few days from now. And he's looking at a 1/4 basis point increase. He said it in his testimony last week. So I think he's going to stay at a 1/4 basis point in view of what's happening with Putin and also gas. It's the April number that's very problematic. Will he come in more aggressively and lower inflation faster, potentially before Joe swaps out COLA for inflation? Well, here's another breaking developing detail just minutes ago. Jay Powell has a counterpart, a sort of similar person. And that similar person is the person who does monetary policy for the European community. And that person announced her monetary policy for this month just minutes ago. And guess what? It was more aggressive than Wall Street anticipated. So this is not good news. And what happened? That major policy announcement came from the European community minutes ago, and it was announced by ECB President Christine Lagarde. She said that the European community will end its bond buying back program faster than initially thought. The tapering will be done faster. They're not raising interest rates there yet, but their policy is coming more aggressively than anyone was anticipated, even in an energy shortage, even in a Putin situation. So she sees Putin, she sees energy problems, and she's coming in more aggressively to deal with inflation. Do I think that Jay Powell will pivot and come in more aggressively in April? And how will that impact your SSI and SSDI benefits? I don't think he will. But I'll have the analysis for you in the second half of this video. Plus, get ready with your pen and paper. If you're not a member, and become a member just a second, because I'm going to go over those $80,000 of four stimulus checks. They are now going live, and I'm going to show you how to get them. It's coming up in the second half of this video. Then we'll be looking at the sixth stimulus package. It's happening, folks. It's at the same time as fourth stimulus. It overlaps, and I'm going to go over the major developing detail that happened minutes ago. It's huge, and it's brand new on Mornings LA about the sixth stimulus package. Then we'll be looking at what's causing the sixth stimulus package, which is the energy crisis. And the latest developing details, it's brand new in this morning's broadcast. We have a lot happening, and we'll see more about it in just a second. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. As the toast is toasting and the butter's buttering, see you back in 60 seconds.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And excitement continues on Mornings LA live on air with those $80,000 of new checks going live that include home repairs. Oh boy. And then we'll be looking at that sixth stimulus package to buffer a potential recession and the deals being lined up and the major switch for policy of the White House on the energy situation. It's a major second half of this recording. We got a lot coming up. And first, we're going to go over all these incredible checks, but let's pick up of where we left off. That SS300, very fascinating situation that you need to know right now. What's going on? Jay Powell is your head of the Federal Reserve here in the United States, and he's set to announce his policy position for what to deal with inflation just a few days from now. It's the first FOMC meeting. He had said he's going to do a quarter basis point, and I think he's going to stay at that. It's the April number I'm really watching at. The CPI number released minutes ago, I featured 8% inflation. So that's good. If Joe Biden swaps out coal for inflation right now, you are locked in at the best, highest rate for inflation of a generation. Great. 30 days from now, you're also good because whatever Jay Powell's going to do right now, it won't impact the April number either. It's what Jay Powell's going to do after that. That's why you really want Joe Biden to make the swap right away. The comments by the ECB head, again, this is the European Community's version of Jay Powell, was so aggressive in dealing with inflation, and their inflation is not as bad as ours, that Wall Street was shocked. I was horrified. No one saw anything like this coming. So this is a much more aggressive policy. Would it roll over to Jay Powell doing much the same? I hope not. And that is why you hope to see maybe him comment about her policies during that FOMC meeting just a few days from now. Again, Joe Biden needs to make the swap from cola to inflation. You're great at the moment because we have that 8% number, and we're good for about 30 days at the moment before we see what potentially Jay Powell would do at that April meeting. That is that number you want to see. Will Jay Powell come in as your Fed head and say, you know what, I'm going to do a quarter base, I'm going to do a half basis point, not a quarter. You don't want him to say that in April. All right, let's go to some money. And there's no way to number some of these things sometimes. And the best way to do it is keep it sort of relatively consistent. So I'm now referring to this map and this homeowners grant as a fourth stimulus add-on or a fourth stimulus ancillary piece of legislation. This fourth stimulus ancillary piece of legislation was announced by the White House last Friday. First detailed to members in the membership newsletter last Friday, and now live as of last Monday. You want to pounce, Purple Hawk members, because this is money. It's an $80,000 stimulus check program now live and now paying out. What are you looking at? You are looking at a map from the homeowners grant. And the homeowners grant was announced by the White House last Friday. If you're looking at a state like yours that is in the color teal, like California, Texas, Florida, New York, yes, New York is offering it. Missouri, it is live. What's at issue? Let's go over the details right now. This is a homeowners grant program announced by the White House that is now live. It has been live since Monday. The average payout is $15,000 to $80,000 a checks for you. The eligibility is just like a third stimulus check if you own a house. Let's go over the incredible great news right now. Single individuals, $75,000 or less, that's the income qualification for third stimulus and also for this. Married couple, $150,000 or less. All you have to do is own a home. So if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, you qualify. Now, if you're watching this video and saying, I'm a renter, I don't qualify for this, well, get ready for third stimulus because I have money for you as renters later in this video for third stimulus, which is for renters and homeowners. The great news is that the money is live, and it's live in states like California and will be going live in New York, which we initially thought wasn't offering it. It will be offered in New York. The money covers items that many viewers have asked for coverage for over a year and a half on this channel and never had it until now, like property insurance. What do you need to know? The homeowners grant is underwritten by the federal government but administered at state level. And the application is available to members in the membership newsletter that goes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system. It covers this $15,000 to $80,000 mortgage payments, property taxes, homeowners insurance, association fees, home repairs, utilities, and more. Wow. So how do you learn about it? You already know about it if you're a member. That's the benefit of a member on this channel. The membership newsletter first had the details announced last Friday. This went right into the membership newsletter at the very top, starting last Friday. The membership newsletter goes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it features in here the program, the link, the website, the map, the amount, the eligibility, the items it covers, and more. That's the benefit of membership, and the link is under the video. Also, the benefit of membership is getting the third stimulus money for renters and homeowners. Yes, you can overlap. That's coming up in just a second. That is $80,000, $15,000 to $80,000 of fourth stimulus add-on checks that are live. Are you ready to pounce? I hope you have already applied. Now, we'll be staying with that subject matter throughout tonight in evening's LA 1 hour special broadcast, but let's turn to the developing details overnight about that sixth stimulus package. Yes, now understand when we're looking at stimulus packages, They often overlap. So don't think that because I gave it the number 6 that you have to finish 4 before you do 6. I'm just giving them a numbering system so you can differentiate one from the other. It's not because one has to finish before you start the next. The major developing details overnight is that there's a big concern that 6 stimulus is going to need to be done sooner than later. And what's at issue? Let me explain to you first what 6 stimulus is. Then we tell you the breaking news, mornings on LA, brand new. This is new in the last 2 hours. And then let me tell you what's on the horizon for this. The concept of 6 stimulus is the following: that Western allied countries have negatively been impacted because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and that they need to, 1, spend debt domestically, and 2, spend money on its citizens, because those citizens cannot survive the economic burden of what Vladimir Putin has caused. What's the economic burden? The most obvious one is the price of gasoline at the pump. That's the most obvious one. But you're going to see something a little bit more about it in just a second. What is the key date to look for this? Early April. Why? Because it's really a trifecta of Germany, France, and the United States. Joe Biden's a Democrat. The German leader is a Democrat, aligned in policy positions. And President Macron of France is also a Democrat. But his reelection is in April. If he wins that reelection, most believe that this major policy spending legislation will be done as part of the partner allies. Now, what's at issue? The partner allies believe that millions of their citizens internationally cannot afford this situation or will go into a deep recession, and so they will spend the money on their citizens. Again, Germany, France, and the United States. Why is this an issue? Because the surging prices of gasoline. But on tonight's Evening's LA, you're going to see that it's not just gasoline. As featured on the channel over the last week, it is also wheat, grain, soybeans. And now, for the first time ever on this channel, I tell you a major concern. It's bank default. It's devaluation and decredit valuation of the Russian economy. What's going on right now? The Russian banks, bonds, and equities are getting devalued credit-wise and ultimately may become valueless by the end of the week or by the end of the month. Now, why does this impact you? Because your U.S. bank system features banks that have invested in those positions. Many U.S. banks have investments in Russian positions, whether it's bonds or Russian equities. So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to write off the loss. They will take a major economical loss, major balance sheet loss, because they had a position in Russian banks, or they were doing business with Russian banks, because banks communicate. And this is different than the situation of just closing an office. Let me make that very clear, because I make it tonight clear on Afternoons LA as well. In new comments minutes ago, we learned that Deutsche Bank was asked, will you close your offices in Russia? Will you close operations in Russia? That's different than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the balance sheet hit from losses from Russian positions. Goldman Sachs said Thursday that it's winding down its position in Russian, winding down its business in Russia. Deutsche Bank said today it cannot wind down or close its positions or its bank operations in Russia because it's not practical, because it has clients that still have those positions and can't do it right now. This is different than what I want to go over with you. What I'm talking about is that there is a major thought, and I believe it's much the case, that the Russian banks, the Russian bonds, and the Russian stocks will slowly float into a valueless environment, become junk value. And when they become junk value, your U.S. banks that had positions in there will have to say, hey, we had an investment of a half a billion. We have to take the loss, $500 million. That'll appear on that balance sheet, and that will impact your economy here horribly. When's the last time we've seen something like this? The savings and loan debacle decades ago? Yeah. So this is a major issue. And this is why when we talk about 6 stimulus, it's more than gasoline at the pump. It's grain, it's oil, it is soybeans, it is wheat, and now it's a potential implosion or negative contraction of the banking industry in the United States because of Russian banks that are likely to go under, or because of U.S. banks that do partnership with partner allies that also did business with those Russian banks. Very, very fluid situation across the board. Now, let me tell you what's happening with third stimulus before we turn back into the big surprises with the White House on energy overnight. And I have my commentary on that situation as well. Third stimulus is still paying out, and that is what's so great. Third stimulus is rent, and it's also homeowners assistance. So if you're a renter or a homeowner, you can get third stimulus. It's in addition to those $80,000 of checks. And we had big success stories overnight, and I'm just so excited for the viewership of this channel. The big successes overnight are these numbers. Look at them. Melly Pin got who's a member of the channel for last 2 months. She got $9,000 from watching Evenings LA prime time 2 days ago. Carol Moore, she got $5,000 in watching Evenings LA this week. That is $4,000 for rent and $1,000 for utilities. And David Allen got $10,000 from third stimulus this week from watching Evenings LA, that 1 hour primetime show. It's the most watched show in primetime for financial news. It's 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. So where do you get this money? Let's go over all these incredible sums of money from third stimulus right now. It's so exciting, and it's still paying out. This is in addition to those $80,000 of homeowner grant checks. This is money for rent and homeowners, and you qualify for it if you qualify for a third stimulus. It's everywhere. So where do you get it? Let's look at the details. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city house authority, your county hall, your county house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You must do multiple rounds. You must put multiple applications on file and reach out to all 6 places. Now, the viewership of this channel has done so well on this. Even in view of the energy situation unfolding by the minute, they are really cleaning up. You see these viewers getting $10,000, $20,000 this week, and the numbers keep on growing. Remember, this is in addition to that big homeowners grant. So the homeowners, you can get the homeowners grant, the $8,000 checks and third stimulus. And then if you're a renter, you get the third stimulus. I got something for all of you. You want to get these incredible sums of money from third stimulus because they're still paying out. These are lots of checks. So do multiple rounds and open that membership newsletter. That's the benefit of the membership newsletter. It features all those big sums of money in there, the grant, and now this. It also features the nonprofits. Those nonprofits do home repairs. Someone in the live chat was just asking about home repairs. Nonprofits do those home repairs. They're also featured in the membership newsletter. That's a benefit of membership. Average view of the channel getting $45,000 from third stimulus. You should get it as well. It's absolutely incredible. Move today. Don't wait. Get those big sums of money across the board. And there you go. When we look at the situation unfolding with the oil, this changed overnight. And boy, I was really surprised to report it last night on Evenings LA. But today, I got to laugh because this is one of those days where good reporters do good things. And what do? They went back to West Texas for comment. West Texas has a new comment today about what Jennifer Granholm said overnight, your energy secretary. And boy, you're going to be surprised. I'm going to go over the latest details right now. This impacts your 6th stimulus, and we're going to start it right now. Again, 6th stimulus, another piece of legislation that will happen at the same time as all this other stuff, is to deal with the economic fallout in the United States and our partner countries like Germany and France because of Vladimir Putin. Most obvious example is oil. Then we also have the commodities like wheat, grain, because they're grown in the agrarian community of the Black Sea of Ukraine, and now that's no longer part of the supply chain. So there's less of it. The prices of U.S. farmers' items go up, and the price of how much you pay for bread at the market goes up. Big economic problem with that. Then we have other problems like the banking industry, which I just went over. So what's the situation in oil right now? So I'm going to go over the fact and also my opinion on this one. The situation on oil is a very fluid one in the White House. In October of 2021, in my reporting, told you there was 100,000 Russian troops at the Ukrainian border, and that a potential invasion of Ukraine this year would be the major economic event of 2022. Well, if I could see that, certainly the White House saw it, and they did. They told, in fact, Joe Biden told Janet Yellen, we now know, to do an analysis of the impact on the U.S. oil industry if that invasion occurred. So they did the analysis then. So what has happened in the last 10, 2 weeks of the invasion. West Oil Texas producers have said, we can increase production domestically of gasoline. But the White House hasn't reached out to us. Let's go over what this economically works out as. The more gasoline, the cheaper it is. The less gasoline, the more expensive it is. West Texas are Americans for Americans. If they make more gas, your price of gasoline goes down. Simple solution, right? Yeah, it's very simple. We only import 3% of our gasoline from Russia. So Russia is not impacting our price of the gasoline at the pump. Why is our gasoline at the pump going up? Because the countries we do business with, like Italy and Germany, they import 40% of the gasoline from Russia. And now that Russian oil is potentially getting banned, then their price is going up, our price goes up. So how do we solve this? Domestically, very simple. Very, very simple concept. Most Americans understand this. We increase our production of gasoline in the United States, our gasoline goes down. Very, very simple part of the equation. What's not simple is the White House. Day one of this invasion, I said increase production of gasoline domestically. West Texas, day one of the invasion, said, hi, we're Americans. We can produce more gasoline for fellow Americans, bring down the price of gasoline at the pump. So what happened? Now I'm going to bring you from fact to commentary. Over the next 2 weeks, West Texas oil producers said that the White House had not reached out to them to give them guidance to increase production or not. And then, in a series of interviews in broadcast media, the undersecretary to Janet Yellen was asked, have you reached out to West Texas? I haven't. Why haven't you? No answer. So the White House was avoiding the subject matter when they could have increased production or made the phone call. What happened overnight? As featured in the Evenings LA last night, your energy secretary said the White House is excited to increase production in West Texas. Excuse me? Excited to increase production in West Texas? What do you mean? You haven't done that yet. Now, this is a policy pivot, but not an actual event. Let me explain. You go to the department store and you're on the first floor and you're in the window and you see that beautiful outfit in the window. You say, I like that. I want it. And you go in the store and say, I want to buy that thing in the window. Oh, that's just for show. We don't have it. That's what's going around right now, the White House. The White House's pivot is that it is excited to increase production in West Texas. Well, what does West Texas say? This is why I have to smile, because this is where I love good news reporters. Good news reporters last night, after you heard the Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, which I really like her a lot. She's the one that Sherloin likes, has a lot of energy, remember? She said that the White House is ready to increase production in West Texas. Good. So guess what the good news reporters did today? They went to West Texas. And they asked the people in West Texas, the oil producers, are you ready to increase it? And they said, no, we haven't heard from the White House. There you go. A lot of show and not a lot of walk. Let's make it a little more blunt. She's the energy secretary. Make the phone call. Did you pay the energy bill for the phone? Did you pay the phone bill? The energy secretary. Did you pay the phone bill to make the phone call? Make the phone call, Jennifer, and increase production in West Texas. West Texas says you're just doing a lot of show, White House. You say you're increasing production. You have not told us that, and we've asked you to tell us that. We have not done it. Takeaway: we have a lot of talk and not walk on the situation right now. Internationally, it's a little bit more problematic because we can fix our energy at home. But what's a problem is that if we solve our problem at home, we also have to make sure our partner allies solve their problem. Let's go over this situation. We currently have gasoline right today at the time of this recording at a national average of $4.30 nationwide AAA unleaded today. This is the price of March 10th at 10 a.m. That number is not sustainable. The analysis of this channel and elsewhere on Wall Street is that this number, not sustainable through May. If this number stays in place through May, we're definitely going into recession starting next year for 2 years. I don't want to scare you, but that's the situation. $4 a gallon nationwide is not a sustainable number in the United States through the month of May. We can do it for a few days, but we can't do it through May. If we do, we go into recession for 2 years. So White House needs to move very quickly, domestically, increase production. But the problem is more broader than that. And here is where the other part of the equation is. I'm going to feature extensively tonight on Evenings LA. West Texas can increase production tomorrow. and then get our production ramped up. Done. Very simple. Partner allies, a little bit more complicated. We only import 3% of our gasoline from Russia. Our partner allies import 40%, like Germany. And they don't have a solution to get off of Russian oil lined up. Why? Because the partner countries have not worked on that alliance. Even worse, Vladimir Putin is now vowing to cut off the Russian oil to countries like Germany and Italy before they ban it. So you wake up one morning, suddenly there's no oil in your country. It's like waking up and going into a broadcast and you have no bacon on set. It's not good. It's not a good situation. We can solve our energy situation, but if our partner countries don't solve theirs, we go into recession. They go into recession because they don't have gasoline. We go into recession, even if West Texas increases production for us. I told you last night about Jetgate in prime time. Remember Jetgate? No one wants to deliver the jets to the Ukrainians because it's like a hot potato. So the vice president's overseas, and guess what? The decision was no one's going to deliver jets. Okay, so she's over there doing nothing because no one's delivering jets. Vice President, if you're watching, hi, it's LA. How are you? We're both from California. I have a question for you. While you're over there, can you talk to the partner countries and get some oil rerouted? You're over there because no one's delivering jets anymore, so Jetgate is done. Can you make a little detour and go over to the OPEC Plus countries and get them to dedicate some gasoline to our partner countries like Italy and Germany and France? What happened this week? Rumor, and I hate rumor. I just don't like rumors. The rumor was that OPEC said Iraq can increase production of gasoline for those partner countries. Wall Street saw the price of gasoline plummet dramatically to the best levels we've seen in 2 weeks. But no one understood that this was a rumor. It was a rumor. It was not a deal. It was a rumor. And today, gasoline is surging back up to $113 a barrel. So the vice president, she's overseas for Jetgate, which is no longer an issue, pivot and go and get some gasoline dedicated to our partner countries, like Germany and France, where from OPEC Plus countries, that I've been detailing on this channel since day one. They can increase production, and they're vowing not to. Well, at least they've not said they will. When they had a press conference when they had a meeting last week, they refused to have press in attendance, and then somehow a rumor got out. Rumor, we don't need rumor, we need gasoline. And if Germany wakes up one morning because Vladimir Putin cut off Nord Stream 1, which is a pipeline to Germany for gasoline, guess what happens? Germany has no gasoline. Germany goes in recession. We go in recession. We all go under. So the vice president needs to, not focus on Jetgate and focus on getting some gasoline to partner countries. This is not rocket science, folks, but it's also an urgent situation. I got to tell you again how urgent the situation is. You have to fix this by May. May is around the corner. You don't get a solution to this done right away. We got 2 years of economic debacle here in the United States. So this pivot needs to happen right tonight. Now, tonight on Evenings LA in that 5 o'clock primetime broadcast, I'll go over more about all these incredible sums of money, but here's the recap. CR for stimulus, heading to the Senate, and so far lined up with no rolling it to April. Good. That's good. Number two, what's also good, is that COVID money not in there. That's also good. They still need to put a $2,000 stimulus check. They haven't. They have the allocation of funds enough. They need to make the push, advocate across the board. Also good news starting today was the Consumer Price Index number released. 8%, meaning that if Jay Powell brought down inflation today, you're still locked in a good number. Joe Biden needs to make that phone call and get your COLA swapped out for inflation. Also, very great news is $80,000 of checks now going live as what I call the forced stimulus add-on, a forced stimulus ancillary piece of legislation. That is a homeowner's grant. You can get it right today. It's live and it's paying out. 6 stimulus now heating up for a new reason. It's not only just oil and wheat anymore. Now it's a concern that bank default or bank devaluation or credit devaluation in Germany could be in Russia could be happening. And now the exposure to U.S. banks to a potential meltdown of the Russian banking system is something that no one saw coming. What's also not coming is a ceasefire. The word ceasefire has caused a lot of economic confusion across the board. And at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time today, live on air, I'm back with a brand new broadcast of I Stand With Ukraine. I'll go over what's economically impacting brand new today, a lot more of that analysis. why Vladimir Putin is really now causing economic havoc in the United States for not just oil, but more items, and why the White House needs to pivot right away, because we don't have a lot of time to work on this. We got to solve it right away, and this is not inflation. This is a potential recession. This is not Jay Powell. This is the White House and the administration. I'll have the latest details on that in that 1 hour broadcast of Home LA coming up at 11 a.m. But first, I appreciate all your kindness and thoughts and prayers for the people of Ukraine. Stay with me throughout the day. And of course, join me in that 1 hour special broadcast. It's Evenings LA. It's the #1 most watched show in prime time. It's at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. If you're not become a member today to get that incredible newsletter that features that big money from that homeowner's grant. The toast was toasting, the butter was butter, and the coffee is brewing, and the toast is a little bit more expensive than yesterday. Hopefully, we get a solution to all these economic problems. I'll feature it more today at 11 a.m. Join me next on Home.